Forget humans, animals, extraterrestrials, or any sort of fantasy creature. In Double Fine's Keeper, you play as a lighthouse, a living, walking lighthouse. Atmospheric puzzle adventure Keeper, created by Lee Petty and Double Fine Productions, is among the strangest games showcased during Gamescom Opening Night Live. While the artsy visuals may have intrigued you, the teaser creates more questions than it answers. Why does the lighthouse awaken? Where is it going? And more importantly, what sort of challenges will it run into? Following a preview at Gamescom, I can answer, well, some of those questions. Here's the gist. Bird lands on Lighthouse. Lighthouse grows a bunch of legs. And together, Bird and Building enter an odd world full of weird critters and the occasional living tree. That's basically what Keeper entails. At the start of the preview, I worried that this concept might prove a bit boring. I saw the lighthouse walking around, following a linear path, shining its light at critters to scare them away, and illuminating an overgrown tree person to remove its roots, but the gameplay appeared a tad tame. Then, though, the lighthouse started to pick up items, solve puzzles, and even manipulate time, turning its bird companion back into an egg. Things had already started to get quite trippy at this point, but then the lighthouse walked into a gorgeous, light gray valley full of pink, fluffy mist, unlocking the ability to jump and float around like bouncy cotton candy. Oh, and there was also a flying whale. While certainly not devoid of life, what stands out most about Keeper is the lack of humans. Inspired by the COVID-19 pandemic, developer Lee Petty, with nothing to do but hike in nature, dreamed up a world with no people at all. No people means no words, which brings us to the second thing that stands out. Keeper feels awfully serene. If you want to know what's going on in this strange realm, you'll have to observe carefully. That means the narrative isn't as in your face as more traditional games with dialogue. Tim Schafer, founder of Double Fine Productions, confirms this. The story is open to interpretation, he said. It centers around the bond between the lighthouse and the bird, and how that character relationship develops. A bit of mystery, such as the lighthouse's sudden liveliness, will certainly remain. I reckon Keeper's success, and whether or not you should keep it on your radar, depends on whether its atmospheric design resonates with you. That said, I'm 100% sold on a lighthouse being the protagonist. Watching him hop around with his bird buddy is just too cute. Keeper is out October 17th on Windows PC and Xbox Series 10. It will be available through Game Pass. If Tim Schafer is the face of Double Fine Productions, then you could think of Lee Petty as its spirit. The art director defined the inimitable style of brutal legend and broken age, and led production on Headlander, Stacking, and RAD. Next to me, he's the person who made the most Double Fine games, Schafer tells me. So there was little hesitation when Petty approached the studio's founder with his next big idea, in the months following the acquisition into the Xbox Game Studios network in 2019. We were like, Schafer continues, well, what can we do now that we couldn't do before? Now that we have support, resources, and a little more freedom. You need only look at Xbox's 2025 output to see how the acquired studios have wielded these elements. Elite Software unleashed Doom, The Dark Ages, a shooter with wider combat arenas than ever before. Compulsion Games pursued South of Midnight, an action-adventure with a handcrafted, stop-motion-inspired visual style. And Obsidian Entertainment is ready to deliver The Outer Worlds 2, an RPG overflowing with depth and detail. The key words here are bigger, bolder, more ambitious. Double Fine has purposefully gone in a different direction. Keeper is smaller than the studio's last release, 2021's Psychonauts 2, and far stranger. Lee and I wanted to get really weird. Schafer laughs. We wanted to make something that we could probably never have gotten signed and published when we were independent. It's really artistic and it doesn't make sense at first, but it's really engrossing. That much is clear from the 30 minutes of Keeper I was able to see behind closed doors at Gamescom 2025. What Double Fine is putting forward here is a surreal, third-person adventure game where you take control of a lighthouse. The crumbling structure is awarded sentience after encountering a spirited seabird, the unlikely duo embarking on a journey towards the center of a mysterious island, stumbling towards realms beyond understanding. Keeper is the result of 4 years of development, time which has clearly been invested into conjuring something as mystifying as it is utterly mesmerizing. I'll be honest, it's really difficult explaining these sorts of ethereal adventures. At just 6 to 8 hours in length, Double Fine is hesitant to pull the curtain back too far. should it risk revealing too much about this dreamy stage production? There's a story told without a word spoken too, so the studio doesn't want to risk implanting its own perspective on events before players have an opportunity to bring their own to the experience. And because it is so dreamlike in nature, it's difficult for me to really frame what is being put forward either. You're either feeling the vibe, or you aren't. Keeper is the sort of video game that Xbox Game Pass was built to house, so here's what I will say. I was utterly taken aback by Keeper. Verdant visuals invite you into worlds unknown, the camera lingering just above the lantern room as you crawl through verdant meadows and small villages populated by little mechanical creatures. Light puzzle mechanics act as an expansion of the exploration, a counterweight which shifts you between passive observer and active participant in the strangest realm conjured from the Double Fine ether yet.